All right, guys, welcome back to another video. If it's your first time here and you like daily gaming content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you've been watching for a while, you enjoy what you see, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. We'll start off here. Let's talk about a new Xbox showcase that was announced yesterday that is going to be occurring tomorrow. And that is the Xbox Partner Preview that's coming March 6, 2024 at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what this showcase is going to be all about is just showcasing games that are coming out from their third-party publishers, third-party developers that will be releasing on Xbox. And they specifically say it's a mix of new and upcoming games from publishers like Capcom, Nexon, EA, and others, with more than a dozen new trailers. And the broadcast will be about 30 minutes long. Now, some of the games they do highlight that we know we will be seeing is Tales of Kinzera Zhao, which is a really cool looking game. I believe this is from EA, published by EA, and it is a side-scrolling action platformer. Looks very similar to one of my favorite games so far this year, which was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. So if you think about that when you're looking at Tales of Kinzera, it looks really good, and I'm excited to see more about the game on March 6th. The next one here is Kunitsu Gami Path of a Goddess, which is a Capcom game, an action game, and it was very unique. They showed this off at the summer showcase, and I believe this is a game that is launching into Xbox Game Pass on day one. Again, coming from Capcom, a Japanese publisher, showing that expansion that Xbox has done in order to get more of those styles of games onto Xbox, as well as get them into Xbox Game Pass. The next game here is the first Berserker Kazan, and this is kind of like a Soul style game that it does look like when you do watch the trailer. Really cool art style as well, but I think one that people will be very excited for. And then they also are going to be showing other great titles coming to Xbox, Windows, or Game Pass. So I'm expecting some more Game Pass announcements, or just looks at games that are dropping day one into the service throughout the year. Again, this is coming up March 6th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and it's just game reveals, release dates, announcements, and fresh new gameplay for upcoming games. And they say coupled with some unique behind-the-scene stories from developers on Xbox Wire. So excited about this. Another Xbox showcase. This is the second showcase we've already gotten this year, and we are in March. And I'm hoping they do smaller mini showcases like this throughout the entire year. Another developer direct would be great. And then as we lead up to the major summer showcase, show off all the stuff there. That's like their biggest show where they give us the biggest hitters, and then have another developer direct after that sometime in the fall. It will just give people nonstop content to talk about, nonstop games to look forward to, and then hopefully we get a lot of dates as to when we can expect this stuff to drop on to the Xbox ecosystem. Now, let's jump over here and let's talk about a kind of odd one here. This is a new Xbox Series X that is going on sale. You're actually going to be able to pick this one up and purchase it. And why this is different is we've seen a lot of these kind of skins and collector's editions of Xboxes that have been sold, but they've only been given away. They're not anything that you could actually get through retail. But this is different. This is a customized SpongeBob All-Star Brawl 2 Xbox Series X console controller, and it also does come with the game. Now, it is going to be very pricey compared to the regular price of the Xbox Series X, and for probably because it is very unique and there's going to be a very limited amount of them, that it will be something that will be sold out extremely fast. Not something that I would buy for the price, but hey, if you like SpongeBob, you like All-Star Brawl, you may want to keep your eyes open for this. And it's going to be available through Best Buy drops on the Best Buy mobile app. They say fans will have the exclusive opportunity to bring home the Xbox Series X Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 Special Edition bundle, including custom designed console inspired by SpongeBob SquarePants himself, showing off his iconic smile, Krusty Krab uniform, and ecstatic arms. Also comes with the wireless controller that you can see is custom as well. Comes with the game, and it's going to cost $6.99. Will be available for purchase at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday, March 7th, 2024. So keep your eyes out if you are looking for this. You want to have probably a rare console that's going to be ending up in the future where people are going to be reselling this, and it's going to be much harder to get. And I know right now $799 is a crazy price tag. I wouldn't pay it, but it may end up eventually being worth more than that in the future. So this is more of a collector's item, in my opinion, for people who will be looking to get into this. One of the things that's kind of disappointing when it comes to the Xbox Series X and even the Xbox Series S is these consoles are prime for just really cool collector's editions and really cool special editions of them with different paint jobs on them. And I've only really gotten one, which was the Halo Infinite Xbox Series X. That's the Xbox Series X I have. It's a beautiful console. I was really hoping we would see more of those, though. More special editions for them. The Xbox with their first-party games. I'm hoping that we will see another one in the future before the end of this generation with just a nice skin on a nice paint job. But right now, 4 years in, we've only seen one other one than this one here, I guess, if you want to count it in. So we also, I guess, have seen the wraps as well, which I think is something that they put out to make up for not having special editions. Rather than have to spend more money on producing a special edition console, they just sell those wraps. They've only really given us Starfield and then some generic wraps. I also hope that they do come out with some game specific wraps every time there is a first party game release. I think that would be very cool. Okay, let's talk about some Gravity Rush 2, because Gravity Rush is from the now defunct Japan studios. It's one of those studios that PlayStation did shut down. And it was very unfortunate when that did happen. One of their popular IPs is Gravity Rush. The first Gravity Rush I actually played on the PS Vita. I thought it was an awesome game. And then Gravity Rush 2 came out after that. Available on the PlayStation 4 if you want to go pick it up and play it right now. But it looks like they are jumping back into their back catalog of IPs, and they are going to be releasing Gravity Rush 2 Remastered this summer. This comes here from WCCF Tech saying the Gravity Rush 2 Remaster is currently in development for PC and PlayStation 5 and will debut on console this summer, according to rumors circulating online. As reported on the Gaming Leaks subreddit and the Team Alua Discord server, the remaster is actually in an advanced state of development, as one of the members of the server is actually a playtester, and apparently it will not be coming with the original online features that came with Gravity Rush 2 back on the PS4, but it will feature a proper photo mode. The game is set to be revealed this May, will launch late summer, at least on PlayStation 5, they say, and a PC release will come at a later date. So there is a couple of interesting things here. The first one, it's a remaster, which, I mean, that is something I think we'll see a lot of from PlayStation in the next year or so, because it's going to cost a lot less to develop a remaster for a game that you already have all the assets and everything for, and it generally is going to sell well because there's already an established fan base for this game. So there's less risk in taking a game like Gravity Rush 2, remastering it and putting it out there for people to buy. The other thing is, it's actually nice to see them jumping back into the back catalog with a game like Gravity Rush that I think a lot of people thought was never going to be making a comeback, with especially the closing of Japan studios, and we were just seeing them continuously doubling and tripling down on the IPs that were guaranteed to do very well. They were more mainstream. They were more of a sure bet to sell millions and millions of copies. Now, Gravity Rush 2, I think, will do well as remaster, but it's not going to be as popular as something like The Last of Us, where they continuously have been remastering that just to cash in. So it's nice to see that. And then the other interesting but kind of stupid thing here is, like, why would they continue along the lines of releasing it on PlayStation 5 first and then releasing it at PC on a later date? Now, we don't know when that later date would be, and again, this is just a rumor, but you would think, especially from what we have seen here with Helldivers 2, is it makes tons of sense for PlayStation to be releasing these games day and date on PC and make way more sales right off of the bat than hold it back and then release it on PC at a later date. So I don't know why they would continue with that strategy. I think there will be a point in the future that we will be seeing PlayStation releasing their games day and date on PC. And again, this is a rumor. Maybe that will end up happening with Gravity Rush 2. It seems like a game that would make perfect sense, because we don't know just how well it's going to sell only on PlayStation 5. But we will end up seeing what happens when Gravity Rush 2 releases. But overall, happy that they are actually bringing out a older game, a different IP, rather than the same thing over and over and over again. Now, another IP, another game that a lot of people, including myself, have been begging Respawn and EA to bring back, and it is Titanfall. Everyone wants Titanfall 3. Titanfall is one of the best first-person shooters created. I mean, it is a phenomenal game, phenomenal campaign in Titanfall 2. Online is a ton of fun. It's one of those games that definitely flew under the radar because of where it released, and specifically Titanfall 2 sandwiched between the Battlefields and the Call of Duties, and people just didn't want to play Titanfall, didn't want to try a new game. But if you never played Titanfall, you've absolutely missed out if you're a first-person shooter fan. And we recently heard about EA with their layoffs and them wanting to move away from licensed IPs and focus more on IPs that they have in-house, IPs that they own. And Respawn had apparently canceled the Mandalorian game, which was going to be a first-person shooter, and they were going to go back and work on IPs that they already owned, which had a lot of people thinking this finally meant Titanfall 3 was going to be coming out. We are finally going to get the third game in the series, and the series that absolutely deserves it. And we have some more info here, but it looks like they still are not going to be giving us Titanfall 3, which is very unfortunate. This all comes via Jeff Grubb, who was discussing Respawn's current projects after everything that happened, again, with the layoffs and the Star Wars FPS. And here is some of the stuff that he does say on his Game Mess Morning. He says, there are always conversations about Titanfall 3. Whenever I do look into it, they're not making Titanfall 3. They just straight up aren't. They do have another team that has been kicking around a Skunkworks project that was in very early prototyping. There's a different phases of prototyping. There's a very early, very small team prototyping phase, and now they're going to go to a wider. Like, this is a real project now, but still in the prototyping phase, and that has happened with that game, and that is from the director of the original Titanfall. So, I mean, I think that's why people were getting excited. You hear things like this from the directors of the original Titanfall, you would think, yeah, the next logical step is Titanfall 3, because everybody wants it, and I think it would just sell very well at this point, but that clearly isn't what is happening here. They're working on a smaller project. He goes on here and says, this game as it stands today, as far as I understand, is a Titanfall game. It's in the Titanfall universe, but everyone I talk to keeps saying, well, it's not. Don't get it in your minds that it's Titanfall 3, like a game with online multiplayer and a single player campaign. I'm like, well, wait, what? Then what is this game? I still don't know, but it feels like if you're trying to go all in on your own IP, just expand into it being Titanfall 3, figure out a way to make that happen. And then I'm reminded that they were working on Titanfall 3 essentially with Titanfall Legends, which was going to be a part of Apex Legends, and they pulled the rug out from underneath that. So it seems very unlikely that they would change their strategy and go back and actually end up making a Titanfall 3. So sounds very convoluted, sounds very confusing. I don't know why they would be so confused here at Respawn. Just make Titanfall 3. Titanfall 3, put the name Titanfall 3 on it, give us another entry with a campaign into that universe and some online multiplayer. And I would bet at this point it would do very well, because the thing here with Titanfall 2 is, like I said, it launched at a bad time. It launched sandwiched between the biggest first-person shooters at that time, at a time where Battlefield was very successful, and it just did not get the love it deserved. But since Titanfall 2 has released, a lot of people finally discovered the game, and I bet you all those people now would have their eyes open when Titanfall 3 was announced and would be picking that game up on day one. So to me, it's just an absolute no-brainer. Just give us Titanfall 3, but for some reason they're going off in these different directions with different projects in the Titanfall universe, but they won't be Titanfall 3. All right, let's talk about Suicide Squad, because as we know, Suicide Squad did not have a good release, did not have a good start to the game. As I've said on this channel multiple times, I haven't played it, but I've heard mixed reviews on it. I've heard people that actually really did enjoy the gameplay of it, didn't like the story. And I think most people the consensus is the story and the characters and the way that it was written wasn't very good. But a lot of people actually had a lot of fun with the gameplay of it. But Suicide Squad has been an abysmal disaster, and it's gotten worse over the last couple of days and stuff, especially with the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff and the connection to the game and all of that coming out. And the player base, I think I saw in game live recently, was at like under 300 players, which is obviously not very good. And now we're seeing PlayStation starting to refund Suicide Squad Kill the Justice Leagues to PlayStation users. And this is Hazard Gaming saying Sony and PlayStation has started refunding Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League like when they did for Cyberpunk 2077. Here's a screenshot saying, thank you for contacting PlayStation support regarding a game. We apologize for the delay in responding. You contacted us because an item you purchased cannot be used. After reviewing your request, the purchase for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Digital Deluxe Edition was canceled and the purchase price was credited to your account balance. Now, the major reason they are giving these refunds now is, I would say, because of the fact when this game did launch, you bought it for early access. The first day or so, the servers did not work. And obviously, Rocksteady came out, fixed that, and gave people some rewards for that happening. But I still think that if you're buying a deluxe edition, you're spending all that extra money. One of the major things here is to be able to play the game early before everybody else. And if you can't do that, I would absolutely be asking for a refund right away, because that would be the main draw for me when it comes to buying the more expensive versions of the game. So Suicide Squad is just again an abysmal failure, and it's unfortunate because Rocksteady is such a great developer. Obviously, people are looking at Rocksteady now in a completely different light from where they looked with the Arkham series. So we will see. The interesting thing here is what's going to be next here for WB, and what's going to be next for Rocksteady. What is the next game they are going to be working on? Is there going to be major changes at that studio now because of the failure of Suicide Squad? Let's end off here and let's talk about one of the biggest things that's going on right now. It has to do with emulation and Yuzu. If you've been following this is Nintendo again going after ROMs, emulators, and people playing their games outside of the Nintendo hardware. They have a long history of going through these legal processes, and Nintendo has actually won cases. They won the huge case against Team Executor, and Gary Bowser, if you remember him, was fined like $10 million and everything. That was a huge case. And this is another big one that is already over, essentially. It started like last week or a couple of weeks ago, and Yuzu responded by getting a lawyer, but now they have folded. And they are now just giving up and giving Nintendo everything that they want. So this is what's going on. The Nintendo Switch emulator Yuzu will utterly fold and pay $2.4 million to settle its lawsuit. The emulator was sued for facilitating piracy at a colossal scale. So it says just over a week ago, Nintendo sued the developers of the leading Nintendo Switch emulator Yuzu for facilitating piracy at a colossal scale, and now it appears that Yuzu will give up without a fight and give Nintendo everything it wanted. And this not only affects Yuzu, which is the Switch emulator, but it's also going to be affecting the Nintendo 3DS emulator Citra. So this is the ruling, I guess, of everything that is being given up. It says they will be surrendering yuzu-emu.org domain to Nintendo, agree to delete not only its copies of Yuzu, but also all circumvention tools used for developing or using Yuzu, such as Tegra RCM GUI, Hecate, Atmosphere, Lockpick _RCM, ND Dump Tool, NX Dump Fuse, and Tegra Explorer, and they will be handing over any physical circumvention devices and modified Nintendo hardware to Nintendo. It also agrees to not delete any other evidence that infringes Nintendo's IP rights. And the Yuzu and Citra developer Bunai confirmed in the Yuzu Discord that both the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo 3DS emulators are affected, and they gave a large kind of announcement here in their Discord saying, "Hello users and Citra fans. We write today to inform you that Yuzu and Yuzu support of Citra are being discontinued effective immediately. Yuzu and its team have always been against piracy. We started the project in good faith out of passion for Nintendo and its consoles and games, and we're not intending to cause harm. But we see now that because our projects can circumvent Nintendo's technological protection measures and allow users to play games outside of authorized hardware, they have led to extensive piracy. In particular, we have been deeply disappointed when users have used our software to leak game content prior to its release and ruin the experience for legitimate purchasers and fans." So that's the first paragraph there. And if you remember, there was like over 1 million downloads of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom before it was released. And I mean, if you're creating these emulators, of course, you probably know this stuff is going to happen. This sounds like a very well-written legal statement from Yuzu's lawyer, but they continue on here and say, "We have come to the decision that we cannot continue to allow this to occur. Piracy was never our intention, and we believe that piracy of video games and on video game consoles should end. Effective today, we will be pulling our code repositories offline discontinuing our Patreon accounts and Discord servers, and soon shutting down our websites. We hope our actions will be a small step towards ending piracy of all creators' works. Thank you for your years of support and for understanding our decision. Now, to be very clear on everything here, this is just a permanent injunction, and the judge actually has not approved this yet. So I'm guessing that the judge will, but basically Nintendo has to ask the federal judge to say yes to this following statement specifically. Developing or distributing software, including Yuzu, that in its ordinary course functions only when cryptographic keys are integrated without authorization, violates the Digital Millennium Copyright Act's prohibition on trafficking in devices that circumvent effective technological measures, because the software is primarily designed for the purpose of circumventing technological measures. I'm guessing the judge is going to agree. I feel like Yuzu wouldn't have just given up everything if they thought that they had a chance at this case, because it was that fast. It was like last week, the lawsuit comes from Nintendo, Yuzu lawyered up, and then now they've given up and they're giving away everything to Nintendo. Maybe it's because they feel like they've made enough off of their Patreon, but I guess that's all going to be going out to the $2.4 million. I don't know, but it is a crazy time here when it comes to emulation. And there's a lot of questions that need to be asked here, because this could be a precedent going forward for emulating for Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo does a lot of shitty things when it comes to trying to stop people from playing their games. They don't put their games out, make them accessible in a back catalog in terms of backwards compatibility, or just making a way that people can jump into their older games and download them and play them on the Nintendo Switch. They have that crappy Nintendo Switch Online service that gives us shitty versions of these games, or not even the best versions, that you have to pay an online fee for. They did have previously the actual Wii shop and the Wii U shop and stuff, where the virtual console, where you could purchase some of these games, and then that kind of went away. So it's just been really bad in terms of having the opportunities and the ability to play older Nintendo games, and that's why people emulate. But this one here, I think, is a somewhat of a different story, because they were basically getting all of Nintendo's games were being downloaded and played before they were released on the Nintendo Switch. And Yuzu had a major part in doing this. In fact, there is this here that kind of gives a little bit of more insight into this whole case of why Nintendo had such a strong case against Yuzu. And it says here, this is from Dreaming on X. Artist and 2D animator, 88.4K followers, says, okay, a mutual broke down more context on the Yuzu case. Nintendo was going to win no matter what, because Yuzu had support fixes for specifically Tears of the Kingdom emulation behind Patreon they were charging for. After finding that out, I understand now why Nintendo went after them. Since the game didn't release it at the time as well, they were making money off of an unreleased game. I can see why they settled now. This had nothing to do with Nintendo starting a war against emulation. So I guess if you kind of look at it like that, there's a different perspective from this. One of the major things I think Yuzu messed up on, of course, was paywalling and then putting stuff like this and profiting off of it. So this was going to end up happening, I think, no matter what. Now Yuzu just gave everything up, because I feel like they're sitting there, their lawyers tell them, you guys, one, you go to court, it's going to cost you tons of money, and you're going to probably end up not having a case against Nintendo. You're going to end up losing and then spending more money on all of these fees. So just settle with Nintendo. But we'll see how this affects emulation going forward. It may not have any effect whatsoever. This could be a specific case based off of the way that Yuzu operated, but we will continue to see, because Nintendo is notorious for doing this type of stuff. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
We'll be right back.